Hi, I'm Cailey, a librarian here at Mentor Public Library.
And I'm Meg, also a librarian, and welcome to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg, where each time we give you different book recommendations on a specific theme. Today, we're going to be looking at books that take place in different states. So maybe you're traveling this summer or just getting around to enjoy the weather. We're going to take you to books that will take you far outside of Ohio.
Yes, or maybe you can't travel this summer and, here's how you can escape for a little bit.
Yes.
And all of the books that we're going to talk about today are available for you here at the library, as well as online through Libby and Hoopla.
What's your first book, Cailey?
So my first book is going to take us to Alabama, which I don't really think most people want to visit in the height of summer because I hear it's hot.
Yeah.
This first book is called Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe by Heather Weber. And this one also has a little bit of magical realism in it. So this is about Anna Kate, who has gone to Wicklow, Alabama after her beloved Granny Z has passed away. And Anna Kate's mother abandoned this town years ago. So Anna Kate really doesn't have much association with it other than the fact that it's where her grandmother lived. But Granny Z had been the owner of this cafe, the Blackbird Cafe, and she has to settle all of the estate stuff and figure out things to do with that cafe. But quickly, the town of Wicklow gets under Anna Kate's skin, and she is required to spend 60 days running the cafe per her grandmother's will before she can decide what to do next. But, despite her best efforts to stay distant from the town and everything, she finds herself really getting sucked in. And she finds the people of the town really getting under her skin. So then there's this other woman, Natalie, who is a widowed single mother who grew up in Wicklow and has just moved back to town after years away. Her husband died under some questionable circumstances. And after his death, she found out he'd been keeping a lot of secrets from her. She doesn't particularly want to be back in Wicklow and under her mother's thumb. Her mother is the perfect Southern woman, and Natalie always felt she really couldn't live up to that. And now she's home with her little girl, and her mother is trying to take over in a lot of ways while she's trying to figure out the next steps. So Anna Kate's staying in town reluctantly, Natalie's in town reluctantly, and their paths do cross, but the stories are told somewhat separately. And Anna Kate, in staying and running the Blackbird Cafe, doesn't really feel like she can ever fill her Granny Z's shoes, especially because the people of the town are expecting her to make the famous pie that the cafe is known for. And this pie has magical properties in that the person who eats it will get a visit in their dreams from a loved one who has passed away. So there are many people in the town who believe this and come daily for a slice of pie or on certain days. And she doesn't really know if she can fulfill this dream of the town here. And there's also some mystery with the fact that there's these blackbirds that visit the trees behind the Blackbird Cafe, but they only visit between midnight and 1 a.m., which is very unusual and attracts some bird watchers into the town and bringing some attention to the town as well. So it is a lot to unpack in this sort of charming Southern read. You find out a lot about the past of the families of the town, and it gives you that sort of like small Southern town vibe, which I kind of love that thing, where it's a town where everyone knows everyone, good and bad, because there are always secrets to uncover. And it's interesting to see how Natalie and Anna Kate sort of intertwine. Anna Kate wants to understand her mother's history with this town more, why she ran away. And Natalie has a lot of questions about her husband's death and also further back mysteries in her own family. There's a lot of fun things in this, and it's very good if you are a reader of like Sarah Addison Allen or some of those sort of magical realism light authors.
Ooh, sounds great. It's a nice mix of delightfully charming and a little bit of mystery to it. So I love that. And I love when a big challenge or point of the book is, involves food, right? So the pie sounds delicious. It's gonna make me hungry. Sounds really cute. Speaking of magical realism, mine has next one has a little bit of that as well. And it takes place in Hawaii. And it's called Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn. So this is the author's debut novel, came out a couple years ago, and it combines Hawaiian mythology with a little bit of family drama, and like I said, a little bit of mysterious magic involved as well. So the book begins in 1995, Kailua Kona, Hawaii, when the family is on a rare family vacation and 7-year-old Nainoa Flores falls overboard on a cruise ship. And not only does he fall overboard, but there are a whole group of sharks very close by. So his family is fearing the worst and quite frankly, it doesn't have high hopes. But what happens is absolutely surprising. The little Noah, as his nickname is, he is taken by a single shark gently in his mouth and is taken back to his family, not harmed at all. So the shark returns Noah to his family unharmed. And Noah's family takes this as a sign that the Hawaiian gods have shown extreme favor on this little boy. And so it changes kind of the whole trajectory of the whole family's life. And not only that, after this happens to little Noah begins to get some strange powers. And so, of course, the family connects those powers to this mysterious event that happened. But then the book spans some years to when Noah and his 2 siblings grow up, and kind of how this one event has come to shape the entire family's life. So Noah is a paramedic, and he is kind of trying to grapple with hiding these powers and like the full measure of what he can do. And then his brother Dean is working in athletics, and he's kind of obsessed with wealth and fame. And then his sister is trying to escape from the family. They run like the sugar cane industry business, and she's trying to escape from that and going to school and is having some trouble there as well. So what happens is back home in Hawaii, a tragedy happens that causes all 3 of the siblings to reunite again. And what happens is they kind of come to a head with all of their different baggage and conflicts all surrounding this mysterious event. And I like it because it goes into the Hawaiian mythology of it, which is very fascinating, first of all. But then it kind of does explore, when something extraordinary, either good or bad, happens to a single person, how does that impact your entire family in ways that you could never even expect for years and years? So it's very interesting in that way. And I love the Hawaii landscape as well. Talking about that is beautiful writing.
Yes. No, I mean, that sounds really interesting. I like how you brought it back to it doesn't necessarily have to be a magical thing that happens.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of times it's just when something amazing or unexpected happens, it does impact not just the person it happened to, but everyone around them.
Yeah.
Interesting. Plus Hawaii, come on. All right, my next book takes place in Maine. And it is actually called Maine by Courtney Sullivan. And this book is basically the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. So the woman is lounging on the beach, staring into the distance, and this leads you to believe that this is going to be a pretty light beach read, maybe a romance element, something like that. And that is not what this book is. In fact, many a Goodreads review is basically that people were not expecting what this book wound up being. It is actually a complex multi-generational drama that has a good way of sort of sucking you in, but it's told in 4 parts. So the first person is Alice, who is the aging matriarch of the Kelleher clan. And every summer, this family descends upon their Maine summer home, which was won years ago in a card game. and it is 3 acres of beautiful beachfront property in Maine. The family spends the summer at this house, you know, the whole summer beach vibes, sandy feet, outdoor showers, eating practically every meal outside, that kind of thing. It's a typical summer fare. But over the years, the family has become somewhat estranged. Alice is reserved and secretive and just not very warm. She feels very sort of distant from her children and grandchildren, and she has just major regrets in her own past that she has been hiding from her loved ones all these years. And usually in the summer, they all go at different times, but this summer they have all sort of collected at once. And Kathleen, who is Alice's daughter, has always felt like the misfit of the family, and she can never measure up to what her mother expects. She's never connected with her mother, and basically they have stayed apart from one another whenever possible, but even more so since her father's death. And now it has taken an extraordinary act for her to actually willingly go to the beach house and spend time with her mother there. Her daughter, Maggie, has found herself in a pretty hard situation with an unexpected pregnancy with the wrong man, and has always herself felt like an outcast and not quite appreciated in her own family. And then Anne Marie, who is Alice's daughter-in-law, married into this family and has basically spent the last 20 years working her butt off to be the perfect wife, perfect daughter-in-law, perfect mother, and has just never felt like enough. And all of these women have collided at this Maine beach house for the summer, and basically chaos erupts. Old hurts are resurfaced, arguments come up, and there's a lot of secrets revealed. And seeing how all of these stories intertwine really makes for a compelling read. They have very little in common except the fact that they're family. And that helps propel the story along for you too. And there's a lot of Alice's backstory that is just really fascinating, and covering a good 70 years of history for this book really helps to explore what this family has gone through to get to where they are today and why they are today.
Wow, love that. I don't remember the last time I read a book that takes place in New England, so I love that.
And I think it's not your typical beach read.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones that is good to sort of read in the summer, I think, because it's got that backdrop of another place and the beachy setting, but it just is one of those ones that's like a juicy drama to bring you in.
Yeah, and it sounds like the kind where like a reality show would kill for that kind of drama, all those secrets and hidden character agendas and family connections. So it sounds very intriguing, Cailey. I like it. So my next one goes to the complete other side of the country, the West Coast. I am going to California, but not the beach. I'm not going to like the coast or LA. This book takes place in Yosemite National Park, and the book is called Where the Fire Falls by Karen Barnett. And this is kind of a mix of a romance novel with historical fiction, and it takes place in Yosemite National Park. So our first main character is a watercolorist named Olivia Rutherford, and she has shed her humble beginnings to kind of fashion an image for herself as an avant-garde artist. And she's done this in order to appeal to the region's wealthy art collectors. Now, the thing is, in order to have this image, she may have embellished a few things about her past and maybe not completely told the truth. So she's kind of scamming a little bit, but finding some success. I mean, the Yosemite National Park just hired her to a lucrative contract to paint illustrations for the Yosemite National Park for a travel magazine. So she's kind of hit the jackpot career-wise. But in the meantime, there is a tour guide at the park named Clark Johnson. Now, Clark has a little bit of a history. He used to be a minister, but false accusations kind of cost his career. So now he's kind of switched, turned gears, and now he's really enjoying being in nature, showing people the cathedral of granite and trees. So as Clark opens Olivia's eyes to the wonders of Yosemite National Park, she learns that the people around her are as vital as the beautiful Yosemite nature around her. And maybe this will bring her charade to an end. Maybe not. We'll see. But it's a cute romance. I love the 1920s setting. It reminds me of those beautiful Yosemite National Park postcards that you'd find from the first half of the 20th century. The cover even kind of harkens back to that era in a beautiful way. And I just love it. I love the nature part of it, and I love the romance part of it, a little Hallmark vibe. So very cute read.
And you know how I can go for some Hallmark vibes.
Yeah.
And I think that sounds great too, because it's a place that hasn't changed that much in 100 years. So
Yes.
even though it's historical fiction, it's still representative of the place. So yeah, sounds very sweet. And I'm glad that we chose 4 different states to visit today.
We did. We kind of abandoned the Midwest, but we're kind of we're technically Midwest. So, we're giving you places outside of the Ohio area. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this edition of All Booked Out with Cailey and Meg. We hope you got inspiration today to find some great reads and that you enjoy the rest of your summer.
Yes. And happy reading.